I'm late. It's the 1st of February. So I'm going to finish up my 31 days of tarot. Just, 32 days. But I'm going to finish this up real quick. So we left off on number 23, which is decks I just had to break up with. And I said it was the Deviant Moon. But I kind of went back on that this week and ordered another one because I want it. We'll see. We'll see if I keep it, and if I break up with it again. I'm mercurial. I can't decide what I like and don't. Anyway, so number 24 is if you could design a 79th tarot card that everyone would use, what would it look like and what would it represent? So that's a really interesting question because I don't know, and I don't know if I have an answer to it. In the Thoth deck, there is an art card, and I know it's really temperance. But I like that there is there's a card that specifically represents what we create. And I know that, of course the wand suit does that for, creative things, and the sword suit does that to an extent, and, they all kind of do it. But specifically a card that represents what we give of ourselves to put into a physical item. So like a painting or a novel or something like that. And I'm kind of I'm veering off the meaning of that card, the meaning of that card, but I think that's what I would put in there, something to represent a thing that we have created, physical representation of what we have done with our lives. It could be our children, it could be, like I said, a painting or something like that, but that would be my 79th card. Yeah. Number 25, Tarot or Oracle. Tarot or Oracle, which would you read with if you had to pick one and why? And it's Tarot, hands down. I like Oracle decks. I mess around with them. I think they're fun and pretty, and I like the art. And I like learning the different systems of... I'm sorry, I'm playing with Post-its. I don't know. It was just on my desk. Anyway, so I like them. I think they're pretty and they're fun to play with. It's kind of cool to get a new thing, but the tarot system is really where my heart lies. The breakdown between major, minor, courts, the whole tarot system, that's my thing. I think that oracles are fun dalliances, but they're not my main squeeze. Thoughts on tarot becoming mainstream? Well, I like it a lot because not only have I met some very fabulous people in my, tarot online life, but I don't think I would have ever become a professional reader had it not been for the resurgence in popularity and the support that I've gotten from the people that I've met. So yeah, it broadened my audience. It broadened my study group base, where I have people that I can now learn from, and I'm learning other different ways to use it and different perspectives and things like that. I'm sure I've mentioned before that I was pretty much like on my own learning this stuff. There was very little exposure to it when I started. So when I joined the Facebook groups for tarot, it was expanded. There was so much to know and do and learn and meet and yeah. So I'm very grateful because I get to share such a big part of myself with other people, and I like that, and I like that more artists have gotten into making decks and sharing their personal experiences, because the Three of Swords may mean something to one person, but it would mean something to a different person, and their representations are going to be totally different, and I like that perspective. I like having that other perspective there. So the next one, share your first professional reading experience, either as a reader or a seeker. So my first reading that I actually accepted money for, and it was kind of like a donation basis, was a friend that I had grown up with, and she insisted that she pay me for my time and my services, and it was lovely. You know, I got great feedback. It was somebody I knew, so I felt comfortable. You know, I don't think she had known previously that I read tarot, and she was very excited to learn that because she'd been looking for somebody. She hadn't been satisfied with the readers that she'd found. And you know, she's one of my biggest. She's a friend, but she's also one of my biggest clients, and having that support is very nice. I've only had prior to being online with tarot, I've only had I think one professional reading. It was like before or right after I had started reading. And it wasn't less than stellar. It was so many years ago I couldn't give you details if I tried. But I've talked before about how people in the area are very kind of snobby about learning tarot and teaching tarot, and so I did not have a great experience with that. But yeah. Share one celebrity that you would refuse to read for no matter how much they paid you and why. Oh, not one of them. I don't know. There is nobody that I would be interested in, and I'm not like a celebrity person. I don't follow a lot of celebrities online. I don't care what they're doing, what Kanye's wearing, what Kim's butt looks like. I don't care about any of that stuff generally. But I do recognize the fact that they have a public life and a private life, and I would, I am morbidly curious about many subjects, and so knowing that somebody had something hidden about them, I would, you know, as innocuous as it may be, it could be, you know, nothing. That they get gas occasionally when they eat broccoli. It could be something stupid. I would want to figure that out. So I would read for anybody that wanted me to, celebrity-wise, especially somebody like Idris Elba, just so I could stare at him. What are your beliefs around the mechanics of a reading? How do you think it works? Is it your subconscious, higher self, spirit? So I'm going to go with subconscious, higher self, psychological, psychological, collective unconscious type thing. I believe that no matter what culture you're from or how you grew up, there are certain things that kind of transcend cultural boundaries, and those are all things that we can relate to. So, for example, the Lover's card, right? If we're talking about choice or if we're talking about actual love, that's something that transcends all cultural boundaries. You know, I grew up in upstate New York, and somebody that grew up in Kenya can have the same feeling of love, or the same feeling of having to make a choice. It makes no difference. And so that's what I think tarot represents, is that kind of collective unconscious. So there's quite a bit of psychology that I believe. I also believe in a self that we don't know, and I guess I would call that a higher self. I don't know anything other than that. I kind of don't think about it. So if it is magic, hooray! That's great. And one day maybe we'll put a name on it. But for now, it is what it is, and I just enjoy it. What's the most culturally inclusive deck you own? And that would definitely be the Handel deck. It has the 4 different cultures that it divides itself into. So there's Egyptian, there's European, there is Native American, and there is Indian. And so that would be the most culturally inclusive deck that I own, and it's also my favorite, and one of the decks that's most important to me, as it was my first one that I ever owned. And then number 31. What are your favorite tarot apps? Do you work with them? I did in the beginning. I really liked Galaxy Tarot. I liked Fool's Dog, and I liked Golden Tarot. I think Golden Tarot is the one I use the most. I don't use them now, mostly because my phone has very limited memory, and I run most of my businesses from my phone, so I have to keep the administrative apps on there. And so there's really no fun things or games. My phone is entirely utilitarian. But yeah, that's it. So I'm a day late, but I finished it. And maybe I don't know. Maybe I'll do it again next year. We'll see. Love and light, guys. See y'all later.